it's kind of like going to a short track versus an intermediate. Watkins Glen, Sonoma, we call Sonoma kind of a short track, but Chicago is a lot of stop and go, really tight, not a whole lot to really miss wrecks or anything like that happening. So yeah, it's probably the short track of the road courses.
A little bit tougher to prepare overall, just not having much data to go off of and all that stuff from the team side or driver side. So, use the simulator to the best of your ability. Know that it's maybe not going to be perfect here and there, but at the same time, just taking every little bit of data that you have and trying to make the most of it.
Even with the rain that we had last year, it was still, in my opinion, the most fun event that we got to do. So in the city, you wake up, you walk downstairs, and you're in the garage area. So more than half the fans there were not race fans. So that's always fun because you feel like the sport is growing on a weekend like that.
And as we look at the Cup Series schedule for Chicago, we've got practice and qualifying on Saturday, the Cup race Sunday. Again, abbreviated practice for these teams. When you think about Chicago street course being a 12-turn over 2-mile road course, they're not going to be able to make a lot of laps. They'll be lucky if they get 5, 6, 7 laps in.
Yeah, we're going to see whose simulation is on point and whose tire model is really up to snuff. These guys are going to have to get up to speed really quick. We saw it at Sonoma, though, with the repave. They had a little bit more practice there, but it was one of our best races of the year. I'm excited to get to Chicago and see what these guys have in store.
And they have a new tire this year at Chicago than they did last. All right, let's take a look back at the action from the Chicago street course from 2023.
We are in Chicago's front yard. We knew it was going to be a record-setting weekend. The 75-year history of NASCAR, they have never run on a street course. Well, another record has been broken today.
Over 4 inches of rain today.
Breaking news, drivers to their car.
Green flag is in the air.
Boy, this track is such a challenge.
They're going to stack up.
In the traffic jam.
Nowhere to go right here.
2 cars behind you are desperate for a win.
SVG trying to make history here in Chicago.
Checkered flag in the air. Shane Van Gisbergen wins on the streets of Chicago.
Welcome to the NASCAR Winners Club. That's very cool. Thank you, guys.
Well, the race this year has the potential to look very different from last year because the forecast right now looking good for Chicago. And you think about last year, the wet weather, NASCAR mandated single file restarts. That's not the case this year. We're going back to double file restarts. That course is so tight. I think we could see a lot of action.
Yeah, not only was it wet weather, it was a complete monsoon last year. The fact that we even got it in was great, but this race just, there's no runoff. It's going to be super challenging for the drivers. The other thing that Corey touched on earlier this week in Stacking Pennies was that this track with the crown in the roads, it's most road courses we go to are just flat, or they have either a cambered corner or an off cambered corner. This changes the whole race, and then the surface changes from concrete. The asphalt is bumpy, so I'm just really excited to see with a dry surface what these drivers are able to do.
Yeah, and you talked about the different surfaces, but then on top of that, potholes, the manhole covers, the paint that's on the road even creates a slick track or a slick course for these drivers. And then another thing that throws a kink in things is that pit stops are backwards. How does that affect you and the team?
Yeah, we've been practicing backwards pit stops all week. It's something that we used to only ever do once a year, and now there's a couple more races that we do it. Chicago's pretty cool. You're pitting, your pit box is kind of set up on a sidewalk, and then you're pitting, there's a makeshift pit wall, but then you're pitting on the road. So like we said, the crown of the road changes how the pit stops work. It's a little bit downhill. Last year was a different beast because it was rainy, but I'm excited to get there and compete. Backwards pit stops are always a little bit of a feather in your cap. You want to be better than everybody else at it.